Hello, today is December 27th, and today we are reading our first reading for the second Sunday after Christmas. This past weekend was the Christmas holiday, and this next Sunday is going to be after the New Year holiday, so we are barreling through the holiday season here. Our first reading for the second Sunday after Christmas comes from Jeremiah chapter 31, verses 7 through 14. For thus says the Lord, sing aloud with gladness for Jacob, and raise shouts for the chief of the nations. Proclaim, give praise, and say, Save, O Lord, your people, the remnant of Israel. See, I am going to bring them from the land of the north, and gather them from the farthest parts of the earth. Among them the blind and the lame, those with child and those in labor together. A great company they shall return here. With weeping they shall come, and with consolations I will lead them back. I will let them walk by brooks of water in a straight path in which they shall not stumble. For I have become a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear the word of the Lord, O nations, and declare it in the coastlands far away. Say, He who scattered Israel will gather him, and will keep him as a shepherd a flock. For the Lord has ransomed Jacob, and has redeemed him from hands too strong for him. They shall come and sing aloud on the height of Zion, and they shall be radiant over the goodness of the Lord, over the grain, the wine, and the oil, and over the young of the flock and the herd. Their life shall become like a watered garden, and they shall never languish again. Then shall the young women rejoice in the dance, and the young men and the old shall be merry. I will turn their mourning into joy. I will comfort them and give them gladness for sorrow. I will give the priests their fill of fatness, and my people shall be satisfied with my bounty, says the Lord. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So we have this passage from Jeremiah, and it is one of the happy passages from the prophet. Jeremiah is the weeping prophet. He is the prophet who oversaw the destruction of Jerusalem to the hands of the Babylonians. He is the one who saw the elites of his city go into exile. He is someone who foretold destruction and was ignored. And so much of Jeremiah is taken up with the crises of his day. Jeremiah is continually reminding people of the destruction that is coming. He is continually being ignored, imprisoned, or shut out. And to that end, he weeps, he laments. Connected to Jeremiah is the Book of Lamentations, which is written in the aftermath of the city's destruction. So, in the course of this brooding book, Jeremiah is a psychological book as well, that isn't just about destruction, it's about how one feels as you see destruction coming. Anxiety and dread characterize much of Jeremiah's book. But here in chapter 31, in this relatively slim contribution to the whole of the book, a little over 2/3 of the way through Jeremiah's prophetic work, we have this passage of hope, and it is called the Book of Consolation. And this is Jeremiah talking about the future, talking about a time after exile, talking about a time when the people will be gathered up again. And in some sense, this is Jeremiah looking not to the immediate future, which has only death and destruction and doom, but to the far, far future, a future that Jeremiah knows he is unlikely to see in his own lifetime. So we have, so in this book, or in this chapter, more accurately, of Jeremiah, you have Jeremiah talking about not Israel as it was in his day, the kingdom that was soon to be subjugated by Babylon. Instead, this is Jeremiah talking about the remnant of Israel. That this kingdom that Jeremiah knows, the kingdom of Judah, is about to be destroyed. That is toast. That the first temple of Solomon to be destroyed. The kingship to be ended as they know it. But God saves the remnant. And what is interesting about this is that this works of this kind are in contrast to other relationships. The works of this kind, the prophetic works here, are not putting all of their faith in God being a protective protection in war. If the nation fails in war, it was thought, the ancient imagination thought, then those nations' gods were also defeated. That at the same time that you had an earthly warfare between warring nations, the gods of those warring nations also clashed with each other. And so it was considered that if in a nation in defeat, their gods were shown to be weaker than the gods of another nation. Jeremiah, or the prophets, what is said through Jeremiah, is a refutation of that logic. It is saying God is with the people as the remnant, that God is the one and is the one who is with them in the scattering and who will be with them in the gathering. And so that's a difficult thing to hear when we're the ones that are being scattered, right? That, well, why didn't God prevent the evil thing from happening in the first place? And that's another harder question. But it also means that this is a kind of faith or a kind of relationship to the Lord that is not quite so brittle as a relationship that is dependent on, or a faith that is dependent on always being the winner. And what this becomes is that God is there not for the winners, or God's peace, God's gathering is not intended for those who are the winners in life. God's gathering is intended for those who have been excluded, who have been marginalized. Notice that in verse 8, I'm going to bring them from the land of the north, the farthest parts of the earth, among them the blind and the lame, those with child and those in labor together. The blind and the lame in temple worship were excluded. Those who did not have what were regarded as whole bodies were excluded from portions of worship. They were considered tainted bodies. Here in Jeremiah, that those people who were on the margins have been brought to the center of the procession. Those who are in pain, those who are in labor, they are at the center of the procession. God is selecting the people who have had nothing, and he is saying, I am going to be a father to these people. They will be my firstborn. God is for the losers. God is for the weak. God is for those who've had nothing, who've had everything taken from them. This is a oracle of salvation, and it's an oracle for the future. And in some ways, this is an oracle that is fulfilled in the Christmas story, that is fulfilled, that was fulfilled in the life of Jesus, in the life of the church that came after, and isn't fulfilled fully. That this is an oracle of salvation that is fulfilled in our Christmas season and is being fulfilled and will be fulfilled the most when Christ returns again. This oracle of salvation is about gathering. And in the process of gathering, God is gathering all people, and especially those people who are on the outside, who are marginalized, who have been oppressed. And God says, with weeping they shall come, and with consolations I shall lead them back. So that's a note of hope, and it is a note of what Christmas, what this season is about the fulfillment of this oracle in Jesus, and the fulfillment that's to come. All right. I hope you're having a great holiday week. I will see you later. Bye-bye.